Well, good morning, everybody. It's really a pleasure to be here, an honor to be here at this incredible new facility. And Denny, just my real congratulations to you. I had a chance to walk through here about 10 months ago, and I could understand the vision, but not completely appreciate the vision. And now to see it in its full creation is really, really impressive. And quite a thing, not only for San Diego, but for California, and I think this country in general. Before we get to the panel, I really just wanted to say a few words about how Life Technologies is thinking about regenerative medicine, and give you at least one person's perspective or one company's perspective on how we see it all playing out. Maybe first to elucidate that is to set the groundwork that I think in any field of business today, anyone who, like you out there, is making investments in the future, it's very difficult. Our times are uncertain, and you get a lot of advice to perhaps pull in the frontier, if you will, be more cautious, and not really push the envelope. And many businesses obviously have had to do that because of the economic environment. And certainly we've at Life Technologies had to make our own changes as well. But at the same time, when you think about regenerative medicine, I do believe this is an area where we should be pushing the frontiers and really embracing the necessary risk, because this is the future of medicine, a very important future of medicine. And I think actually that the underlying technologies are now more realized, more there, if you will, that are going to allow, I think, over the next 5 to 7 years, an incredible pace of development in the field of regenerative medicine. And so, we're positive, we're confident, and we are investing in this area because we actually see it as an important vector of two that really are at the underpinning of our own particular strategy. Now, inside Life Technologies, we have a saying called sequence to function, which is our whole strategy is about being there at the very beginning to understand the DNA and then moving it all the way from that initial understanding out to the function in the cell, in the context of the tissue. And creating the overall tool set and toolkit for really great pioneering minds to then go create this incredible new value proposition of regenerative medicine. And so in sequence to function, we then have these two vectors that I'll just briefly explain of how we think about the future. And in the world of sequencing or genetic analysis, you can see some of our wares out there, but the bottom line is that we got into that business years and years ago. We were the prime contractor for the Human Genome Project, and we have remained absolutely committed to understanding all aspects of genetic analysis and having all the tool sets necessary to drive that first part of sequence in the sequence to function mission. And the latest manifestation is this ion torrent technology that we invested about $750 million in for a company with no revenue, but one that we thought actually could revolutionize the ability to read an entire genome in literally an hour or two for just a fraction of what it takes today. And if you could have that type of technology, it would lead to an explosion of genetic analysis. Now, the other vector then in sequence to function for us at Life Technologies is understanding what's going on in that functional aspect in the context of the cell. And over the last 8 years, we have been building up that overall toolkit to be hopefully a world leader in all the necessary pieces and parts of technologies you need. Whether it's in visualization techniques in terms of fluorescent dyes or quantum dots to see migration of cells in vivo as you potentially are injecting them, to beads that allow for proper separation technologies, other expansion technologies, to where today, as you maybe heard from my colleague yesterday, Chris Armstrong, we do believe we have a very important toolkit to allow that overall functional perspective to take place. Now, we're actually quite emboldened that these investments are smart, that we are and have been looking at the right kind of limits of the frontier. And you can see it now even with some of your sponsors for this important meeting, whether it's the acquisition of Advanced Biohealing by Shire or Cephalon's $2 billion investment in Mesoblast. I think that the world of pharmaceuticals are waking up that this is going to be the next frontier. It is a defendable franchise. It is where the science now is taking us, and many, many therapies are going to be reliant on kind of a cellular-based approach. And so at least for us as kind of humble farmers doing tools and technologies, we think this is where over the next 5 to 7 years the most exciting part of the business is going to be. And I would just second Gil's comments that I do believe the leadership in this room and outside of this room has a real obligation to pull together and think about this national alliance that he was speaking of. In fact, we just became members of the alliance, and we intend to throw our full weight behind this to work with the alliance to make sure that we have a consistent, uniform strategy across the regulatory framework, the reimbursement framework, and just the overall support funding framework so that this important science can lead to really great cures over the next couple of years. We stand ready and we're excited because we think actually the horizon that we see is nearer term and incredibly bright. So with that, what I'd like to do is welcome up our panelists, and we'll get kicked off with our very first session. Thanks.